Welcome to the Texas High School Football Coaches Show on Lone Star Gridiron. I'm Chris Daly, and it's my belief that the men that make up the fraternity of Texas high school football coaches are much more than a bunch of thick-necked guys with whistles. They do so much more than teach technique and the X's and O's of football. They take young boys and change them into young men of character. They get kids to believe in themselves, to trust others, and to put others ahead of themselves. Texas high school football coaches are unique in how they impact the lives of these athletes as well as the generations those kids touch. In this show, I sit down with a different Texas high school football coach each time and learn about them. Not their record, not their on-field accomplishments, but who they are and what they believe and what it means to be part of the greatest sport in the greatest state. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Lone Star Gridiron Texas High School Football Coaches Show, Season 4, Episode 9. I am your host, Chris Daly. My guest today is from just south of the DFW area. In fact, just south of Dallas, north of Waxahachie, home of the Red Oak Hawks, Coach Chris Rouse. I will introduce you to him and his story right after this. Hey, I want to give a big thank you to this season's title sponsor, Mecca Sportswear, where they are all about celebrating achievement. They're honored that so many high schools, colleges, and universities have chosen Mecca's products to represent their institutions. Mecca supplies you with the very best in custom letter jackets, chenille letters, patches, blankets, banners, pins, certificates, and much more to motivate and celebrate achievement in athletics, academics, or the arts. They create high-quality custom awards that will fit your budget. To see why so many great schools around Texas choose Mecca Sportswear, call Sherry Armstrong or Billy Armstrong at 210-651-6592. Mecca Sportswear, the premier suppliers of letter jackets and awards for over 40 years.
Rocket Man, the story of D.W. Rutledge and the Judson High School football dynasty, is a must-read. It provides complete coverage of every game coached by Rutledge, but more importantly, tells the stories of the impact he has had on the tens of thousands of students, parents, coaches, administrators, and fans. Dr. Charles Breithaupt and Chris Daly, both well known in the Texas high school football community, joined forces to tell this much-needed and inspiring tale. Get your copy now at rocketmanbook.com.
All right, everybody join me in welcoming Coach Chris Rouse from Red Oak to the show. Coach, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing just fine.
Great. Gosh, I'm so looking forward to talking with you. I've had a few coaches who I've interviewed in the past who have all mentioned, hey, you need to call Chris Rouse. So no pressure. But
all right.
So as you know, in this show, we don't really talk about your team. I will wait to do that at hopefully coaching school or somewhere like that. But I want to talk about you. Let's jump back first to when you discovered the game of football.
Oh, my gosh. That is going back. You know, football's been such a passion for me. Mm-hmm. And when I really think about, like, why was it such a big part of my life, and I think this is true for a lot of people, that's when my dad and I really connected. Yeah. And you think as a small boy, you know, for a lot of us, sports is just a different type of bond that you start having with your dad. Yep. It's probably one of the first times you kind of have a common ground, you know, because you could be 6, 7, 8, but you and your dad can go play catch and learn the game. And for me, it was football with my dad. And I think that definitely fueled my love for the game. And then, you know, just then also the relationships that you build through the game. But I played Little League football and, you know, all the way middle school, high school, everything for me. I'm from a little town called Quanah. Nice. And, I had the the pleasure of playing with a really, really good group of guys. And we're still very close today.
Right. Yeah, one of my best friends I played with in junior high.
Absolutely.
So for, growing up in a small town myself, I love that aspect of Texas high school football. If you could, tell people who maybe don't know where Quanah is.
Oh, my gosh. Well, Quanah is halfway in between Childress and Vernon, right on 287. So, if you had a free Friday night, you could drive 80 miles to Wichita Falls or 110 miles to Amarillo.
Nice.
And get into all the trouble you wanted. You weren't going to find any in Quanah. So that's kind of how it was.
Nice. And there's some good football out there.
Absolutely. As my senior year, we went to the state championship, and then White Deer went the same year we did. Wheeler went the year before. Vernon went year in and year out. There was just a Panhandle, obviously. A lot of people understand what Panhandle's done, did in the past. Canadian, always strong. That little area, the talent was really, really strong when I was out there.
Nice. Okay, you graduate high school. Tell me about going off to college and then figuring out when you wanted to be a coach.
I think I always knew, that was something I wanted to do. And I went to West Texas A&M to play football out there, and they dropped the program. So that'd tell you the kind of player I was. I'm a much better coach than I was a player. I was a solid player in high school, and but not a great player. And I think that honestly has helped me as a coach, because I had to do everything right to be able to go make a difference for my teammates. And so the details were everything to me, because I knew that was my one chance to be able to be on the field and make a play. And so I go to West Texas A&M. Did that for a couple of years and then dropped the program, the whole thing. So I went up to Texas Tech and finished up there. But I wanted to be around the game. I wasn't playing at Tech. And so I called my high school coach, Jim Wood. That's Don and David Wood's dad, the longtime Muleshoe head coach. And asked him if he could help me get on somewhere in the area. And I ended up volunteering at Idalou for a year. And I was the freshman football coach and did all the scouting there for Idalou. And as a matter of fact, the head coach right now, Lofton, was on my freshman team. Nice. So I learned a lot of football from Johnny Taylor and that group, and it was a great experience. And at the time, I was kind of going back and forth because I was seriously considering law school. And really, my experience at Idalou really is kind of what swung me back to football.
Sweet. All right, so if you could now take us stop by stop from that Idalou position all the way to today. Kind of tell us each of the places you've been.
Okay. We got out of college, and my first job was at Olney High School.
Right.
And the head coach that hired me was only there for about 9 months, and it was not a good situation for a lot of reasons. But then the next coach that came in was Kent Jackson, and Kent is an incredible man, and just has such a servant's heart. And he really showed me what football coaching could really be about. And I think so many people think that it's about a game, and it's not. It's about growing these young men and being a part of their life and teaching them that discipline is the bridge between goals and your accomplishment, and giving them a game plan to do those things. And, so much of that was instilled in me from Kent Jackson. And I was the defensive coordinator for Kent there. And then from that, I went to Wichita Falls High School. And at Wichita Falls High School, I had the pleasure of working for Leo Britton. He's longtime head coach, 2 state championships, won over 200 football games. He's in the Coaches Hall of Fame, and Kent Jackson will be one day too. And it was so I was so fortunate to get to work for two incredible men like that back to back. And everything I am today as a coach, I can contribute back to those two guys. And the unique thing about them, they love the game. They love the people they work with. They had unbelievable hearts, but they did it completely in a different way. You know, Kent's a very relational coach, and Coach Britton was more technique, effort, organization. It was more about the X's and O's, you know. And so being able to have those two guys back to back as a young coach was incredible. And for Leo, I was the offensive coordinator. And I had when we went to Olney, I think they had won 2 games in 4 years, something like that. And Kent Jackson and I got together, and then Kent and I had 1 year together there, and we're like, you know, it was like, I think we were 1-9 or something like that. And you know, we're like, hey, this isn't going to work. You know, we can do what everybody else is doing, or we can do something different. And then, you know, we decided, we sat down, kind of figured out what we wanted to do, and went to the triple option, and just how we taught things. And it made us, because we weren't as good as the people we were playing, it made us think outside the box. And that really has helped me throughout my career. Wichita Falls High School went as the offensive coordinator, and again, we did kind of the same things. I think they had been 0-9-1, 2-8, 3-7. You know, but we were able to come in there and both of those programs turn them both around. In 2001, I became the head football coach at Wichita High, and Leo had left and went to Richland. And then in 2002, Leo came back and worked with me as my offensive line coach, and which was an awesome experience to be able to close out my time there at Wichita High with him on the staff. He just passed away recently, but you know, he was probably my best friend. So I stayed there, and then 2005 went to Cedar Park, and was really intrigued by just a new challenge, a new opportunity, a new area. You know, they had not been good, but when you saw what they could be, you could tell it could be a special place. It was a great school district and a great place to raise a family. And I was there as the head football coach and athletic coordinator at Cedar Park High for 10 years, and we got to experience a lot of unique things just on and off the football field, tremendous community. And then I became the athletic director for Leander ISD. We have 6 high schools and 8 middle schools, and I did that for 3 years. And that experience alone, just being an athletic director and being in more of an administrative world, it grew me as a coach like you can't imagine. I'm a much better coach now than I was before I did that.
Nice.
Went from there. I went to Prosper High School, and Dr. Mike Goddard was the assistant superintendent at Prosper, and finally they kind of called me about the job, and we talked, and I told him I just wasn't interested, and they would not stop until I took that thing. And the more I thought about it, I was like, well, this is such a great people, great opportunity, great community, and a chance to do it again, you know, to go back in and build something. And they had been down, and it was very similar to Cedar Park and Wichita High and Olney. They were down, but they could be good, and they wanted to be good. And I got a chance to put a good group of guys together and went to Prosper and loved it, the whole deal. I was there 9 months, and I moved there to finish. I mean, I've got 3 kids in school, and that's not what I was planning on doing. But I got a unique opportunity to go work at Boise State, and I did that for a couple of years. And again, it grew me as a coach, you know, in a lot of different ways. And Brian Harson is the head coach there, and a great person, great man, and a brilliant guy. And so, and kind of a unique experience. You know, I've worked for 3 guys in my career, and you know, 2 of them will be in the Hall of Fame in Texas. One is, the other one will be. And then Brian Harsin is one of the winningest coaches in college football right now. And so I've been so blessed with the people I've gotten to work for. And so did that. And then Dr. Goddard, who was at Prosper, became the superintendent at Red Oak High School. And I was up at Boise, and he and I were kind of talking, and it just one thing led to the other. And it just, Red Oak, again, is a unique opportunity where, they haven't necessarily had a lot of success in football in the past, but we have a chance where we can. Right. And it was and the thing that sold me on it was just, I know Dr. Goddard and I know his heart, and he's a guy that wants kids to be successful in whatever they do. And I think we all want to be a part of something like that. And I got a chance to put a staff together that they love kids and they want to help them be great at whatever they do. And I know here at Red Oak, he lets us do that. I mean, it's been a lot of fun. So that's what I've done so far.
Nice. I love it. You kind of become this turnaround guy.
Yeah.
Talk, if you could, a little bit about kind of the challenges that go with that and or the blessings that go with that.
Oh, gosh. I think the biggest blessing is, so many times in all this stuff is everybody talks about it now, but, what gets you up in the morning and keeps you up at night? And when you're working at a place like a Red Oak, for instance, just say it, like we have an opportunity to give these kids experiences that they would not get if we weren't here. Right. And that is powerful. And I can sell that to coaches, and I can sell that to an administration, I can sell that to a community. We're not saying let's keep winning, let's keep doing what we're doing. No, we're saying let's build something. Right. And that's powerful. And it kind of drives the why to the whole group. And culture, whatever you want to call it, it's almost now become cliche. Mm-hmm. But really, why do you do what you do and how do you do it? And it's to us and to the men that work with me and for me, this isn't just about football. We're teaching these guys a different way to look at challenges and to attack opportunities. And when they haven't done it right and you go in and give them systems and show them how to do it, I think it's very powerful to them and very motivating. I love fixing things. I love turning things around. The ones that are already winning every year, that does not interest me in the least. Mm-hmm. I want the ones that we can go in and make a difference, not just continue status quo.
And how do you get a kid to buy into that, to believe if they've seen in their history, because their history is so much shorter, nothing but losing. How do they believe in that?
Oh, I think that you sell hope. Great coaches, we're salesmen, every one of us. And we're in the business of selling hope. That's what we do. We show the kids that their hard work, their effort, and their attitude, it matters. And if they trust their coaches and respect their coaches and believe in their teammates, that there's a better way and things will happen. But then you have to show them the plan, and you have to teach them the discipline that it takes to follow through on that plan. A lot of people, everybody wants to be good, mm-hmm. but very few are actually willing to do the work that it takes to be good. And so we're selling them on the importance of believing in their own abilities and about consistently committing to something besides just yourself. Mm-hmm. The foundation of our program, we talk about the character of the individual, which are the things that we're talking about. We talk about a competitive mindset, and just believing in your own abilities and attacking challenges, not being afraid to fail. Probably one of the things that holds back more programs than anything else is just kids, and I'll say kids today, I think we all face this, they're afraid to fail. Mm-hmm. They're afraid, like, well, what if I sell out, give everything I have, and we're not successful? And my point is always, but what if you are? What if you give everything and you are successful? There are no guarantees in life, but why not go out swinging instead of watching? And I think that key mindset, there's a book out right now that's everybody's talking about, and it's written by an author named Zwick. And in it, it talks about the difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. And really what it comes down to is in a growth mindset, you believe that through your own hard work, effort, and attitude that you can improve at whatever you choose to do. And did you know that they did a survey in America and 1/3 of people don't believe that?
That's crazy.
That's mind-blowing, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I think so many times as coaches and educators, if nothing else, it's our job to teach them that and show them the importance of their hard work and their efforts. And you absolutely can make a difference in whatever you're doing. Talent is where you start. Effort and technique is what gets you above that. It has nothing to do with where your finish line is. But we talk to them about character of the individual, understanding your dynamics and teamwork, competitive mindset, the importance of the superior strength and conditioning program, and then the fundamentals, which is just effort and technique of your position and your role on the team. And every day we talk to the kids about those, and we give them a plan to improve as an individual and as a team. And I think when the kids see that, the consistency of the messaging throughout the program with the staff, it helps sell itself. I have a great staff. I've got guys that have been with me. Brent Britton and I, we started working together in 1994. And we've worked on and off since 94. This is our 4th school together. Mike Quintero, this is our 3rd school together. Both of those guys have won state championships as defensive coordinators. I have an offensive coordinator that played for me. When I was at Prosper, I had kind of the same thing. I had 4 guys that had been with me for 10 years. When I was at Cedar Park, I took half those guys with me from Wichita Falls. So I've been incredibly fortunate to work with amazing men that, love kids and are very, very professional. And that definitely has played a part in our success.
Nice. If you could expound a little bit on that brotherhood that is Texas high school football coaches, because you see in other industries, there is no way they would compare notes and share trade secrets with each other. But it's different with y'all. Oh,
I definitely think it is. I think even there's a giant difference between high school and college, honestly. But Texas is extremely unique in that, obviously we're very competitive in what we do. But I think for the most part, your coaches in high school are kid-driven.
Yeah.
We want to help kids be successful. And so, I learned almost everything I know right now, I've learned, firsthand or secondhand through experiences or through absolutely just going out and studying and learning from other coaches. So when you get a chance to mentor young coaches, and because this, if I can make a young coach better, think of all the lives he has a better chance of impacting and making a difference in if I can pour into that coach. So why on earth would I not do that? And the beauty of Texas high school coaching, and I think one of the things that sets us apart, that belief and that opinion of mine is shared by the majority of high school coaches. We look at it really more as an ability to mentor and to disciple to these young guys. This is our mission field. This is what we do. And we coach football. We want to win, but we want to make a difference in their lives. And see that day in and day out with our coaches throughout the state.
Love it. So let's say you're at coaching school. Brand new young coach comes up and says, "Hey, Coach, I've noticed you've had some success. What should I know? How can I be a better coach?" How do you answer that?
Oh my goodness. Love kids. And be an expert at building relationships, first and foremost. Because if they believe you love and care about them, then they'll run through a wall for you. And then after that, be an expert. Be an expert at something. Learn the game, but more than that, be an expert. Be an expert offensive line coach at teaching inside zone. Be an expert quarterback coach and be an expert at something. The world rewards experts. And too many times young coaches, they don't really pour in and learn the game like they should. And they get caught up in watching YouTube videos and what the offense of the week and looking for the magic play instead of really digging in, find great coaches and go study from them. That advice was given to me early, and I've traveled all over. If somebody's doing something well, I want to go talk to them. I want to find out what they're doing that's differently. I might get a new play. More than likely, I got a new way of teaching something we've done forever that makes it better. But the relationships, if you don't get that piece of it, then you're truly setting yourself up for failure.
Definitely. So you talked about travel. So I'm going to give you a what-if scenario. You're in an airport flying to go see something that you just feel you need to see, and somebody comes up to you, you start chatting, and he discovers you're a Texas high school football coach. And this guy says to you, okay, what is the deal? What makes Texas so different when it comes to high school?
Mm-hmm. You know what? I get that a lot. Mm-hmm. I spoke at a clinic in Seattle, and I spoke at one in Kentucky just this year, and that came up in both places. And I think some of it is resources mm-hmm. that we have and the importance placed on it. When you go to some of these other states, high school athletics is just so different. And I think some of it is that they don't put the resources, the time, the energy into it. And the other thing is you don't have to be a professional coach to coach mm-hmm. these things. In other words, in the state of Texas, to be a coach, you must be employed by the district and hold a teaching certificate. You have to. In other words, you have to be a college graduate mm-hmm. and work for the school district to coach. And that's very, very unusual. A lot of states, I'm not saying this is bad, I'm just saying this mm-hmm. is what they do. I could work at Idalou and I could come out and be the head coach that afternoon. Now, I'm not at the school. I'm not really invested in that school. Maybe don't even live in that community. Maybe I have a kid on the team and I want to be a football coach. My level of expertise in this is questionable at best a lot of times. And that's what you see in a lot of other states. And you got guys that they are passionate about kids and they want to be a part of their lives. Some of them are volunteers. They get paid very little. So what you find out is a lot of those places outside the state of Texas, it's all run by private schools. Mm-hmm. Private schools will bring in, kind of build an all-star team. They'll put together a real staff. There'll be 2 or 3 guys that know the game. And unfortunately, that's what it is in the majority of states outside of Texas. And so they have talent. They don't have teams. And just being at Boise State, and seeing what Idaho football was like. Well, I got to go into Washington, California, Oregon, Utah, and there were a handful of great coaches, but 2 or 3 staffs in the state, right. And they're all just biding time until they play each other, Whereas, there's a guy named Coach Quanah, the head coach at Rocky Mountain High School there in Meridian, Idaho. Phenomenal program, excellent head coach. And he was like, how would we be in Texas? And they had 5 Division I players on their team. Mm-hmm. And said you'd win a championship maybe in Texas, but it would be a district championship, not a state championship. Mm-hmm. And are they competitive? Do they care? Absolutely. But they don't have the time. They don't have the resources. And the importance, obviously, is just not there. There might be a couple of 100 people at a game. There's some of the states, they play their games in city parks. Mm. They don't have stadiums. They don't have seating. We in Texas, we do not understand how fortunate we are. Yeah. Unless you're at a Division I school, and this is what a lot of people don't understand, coaches in Texas, but mainly because of our teaching and coaching salaries, we make more than college coaches in D2 and to a large degree even the FBS people. So we're very fortunate in Texas for so many reasons.
Amen. Now, I know your career's far from over, but if you could reflect back on your career so far and think of a story or moment that comes to mind when you think of, yeah, I did good in this career.
When you say that, I think about the young coaches that I've worked with, are the players. I think about some players I've had that are now coaching, that I'm very proud of that. I think as a coach, it's rewarding to see your kids go on into successes, especially the ones that maybe you realize, I don't think that kid would have graduated high school if he wouldn't have been in the program.
Right.
And that's very rewarding to all of us coaches. I think a lot of times people think all the coaches remember all the state champs and the, and the all-staters, and you do, but you also remember the kid that was trying to drop out, and you wouldn't give up on him, and he made it. And those guys, they mean everything to you. And then to see them turn around and get into coaching and start giving back, and I've got a couple of those guys, and that means a lot to me to see that. I think in terms not of teams, but of individuals, really. And then I think of the coaches that, I've gotten to work with that have been on my staff that are now head coaches, and they're going out and making a huge difference in the communities that they're at. They're taking some of the things that we developed in our program. They were with me. I didn't do it. We did it. Right. And they're going into their communities and they're teaching some of these same lessons and principles to these young men. And you just see it growing in other communities and then with their staffs and then where those coaches go. And it's kind of like we were talking about, the mentorship and the opportunities that we have to affect these young men is awesome. It's awesome, but it's also a great responsibility. And it's very rewarding to me to see the guys I've worked with and what they're doing right now and the young men that we get to touch. And it's exciting, and it absolutely is what drives me in coaching.
I love it. And finally, Coach, what does the future look like for you?
Hey, the future is always bright, right? It's always bright. Red Oak right now is a great opportunity for myself and my family, and it's a unique opportunity because it's a growing community, and Dr. Goddard's vision for this whole community and getting to be a part of it is very, very exciting, and I love building things, and I'm getting to be a part of it again. And so, what I'd love to do is stay here and build this thing and get it where it should be, and one day have one of my assistants be the head coach here and go on and do it again.
Nice.
So that's what I'd like to do.
I love it. Coach Chris Rouse, I want to thank you so much for taking a little time out of your day and sitting down and chatting with me.
Thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity.
You bet.
Rocket Man, the story of D.W. Rutledge and the Judson High School football dynasty is a must-read. It provides complete coverage of every game coached by Rutledge, but more importantly, tells the stories of the impact he has had on the tens of thousands of students, parents, coaches, administrators, and fans. Dr. Charles Breithaupt and Chris Daly, both well-known in the Texas high school football community, joined forces to tell this much-needed and inspiring tale. Get your copy now at rocketmanbook.com.
This show is brought to you by the book, All I Need to Know I Learned from My Texas High School Football Coach, a handbook of wisdom for parents, young people, and yes, even coaches. Head over to www.learnedfromcoach.com and order your copy to support sharing the stories of these great coaches and leaders. That's learnedfromcoach.com.
Once again, I want to thank Coach Chris Ross for sitting down with me. Hey, do me a favor and go out and support these sponsors. They are the ones who make this show possible, and without them, I cannot bring it to you. Until next time, I'm Chris Daly, and we'll see you at the game.